All right, now let's get ready for what amounts to the main event of the evening between Lance Whitaker, formerly known as Mount Whitaker because of his 6'8" size, now changing his name to Goofi as he gets ready to take on Jameel Mccline. Larry, why would Lance Whitaker trade in a perfectly serviceable boxing nickname like Mount in favor of the seemingly goofy nickname of Goofi?
A guess. He was tired of being confused with Mount Rushmore. Also, Dizzy and Daffy and Ducky were already patented by some old St. Louis Cardinals, and Slapsy by light heavyweight champion Maxie Rosenblum some decades ago. And of course, today we have Smiley. That would be Oscar De La Hoya, and Grumpy. That would be Mike Tyson. Maybe it's some kind of marketing genius for him to call himself Goofy, and maybe it's just an alibi in waiting, as in, I goofed up, or I gave a Mickey Mouse performance. Whatever. The time will come, Jim, when Lance Whitaker will be happy to be known as the former Goofy.
Well, we shall see. He says that the name represents his intention to have more fun than other athletes are having, and also the joy that he wants to share with the children of the world. So we'll watch this whole thing develop as it goes along. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Stewart, he's getting ready to face Jameel Mccline, and we're going to take a look now at the brief moment Mccline has had near the top of the heavyweight division. It took place July 21 of this year in Las Vegas, when Mccline was the first fighter to face Michael Grant. Many months after Grant's devastating knockout loss to Lennox Lewis, Mccline walked across the ring at the beginning of round one, threw a left hook, deposited Grant on the seat of his pants, and 30 seconds later the fight was stopped because in falling from that punch, Grant, as it turned out, had sustained a broken ankle. It became a big first-round knockout win for Mccline and propelled him into the picture where you see him tonight. Was that one punch good enough to tell us that Mccline can be a heavyweight contender?
First of all, Michael Grant has been down so much in recent fights that he should have learned how to fall down by now without hurting his ankle.
Breaking his ankle,
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. I think that it shows that Mccline can and will throw a punch when he's ordered to do so, like his cornerman, Jimmy Glenn, told him. But that does not convince me that he's a solid fighter yet. And going against Goofy Whitaker, he's going against a fighter who's physically a big man and has been involved in enough big fights in recent years that he's more experienced and more relaxed. And I think in this fight, the relaxation factor may be a big factor which would favor Whitaker, because I kind of expect that Jameel is going to come out a little anxious, a little nervous, because he hasn't been in these type of big fights, and then have a big amateur background. So all of the things would pretty much favor Whitaker going into the fight, but nevertheless, as we have saw in recent fights, one punch from a heavyweight can change everything.
Absolutely. Mccline certainly made that point against Grant. So now let's take a look at the tail of the tape for these two giants of the ring. This is the 21st century heavyweight division. You can see that Mccline is already 31 years old. Like Whitaker, like most American heavyweights of present vintage, he's a latecomer to the sport. Whitaker 6 feet 8 inches tall. We list Mccline at 6'6". His publicity lists him at 6'7". There's a half-inch reach advantage for Whitaker. They're both huge, and this was probably the only time in recent years that Lance Whitaker will have entered the ring against a man who weighs more than he does, 9.5 pounds heavier at the weigh-in 2 days ago. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
Okay, listen up carefully, because the rules changed in this fight. The Lance Goofy Whitaker Jameel Mccline fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case a cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
As you watch tonight, you can log on to HBO.com/boxing, where you'll find round-by-round photos, expert commentary, and CompuBox punch stats. Also, don't forget to check out the latest installment of our Where Are They Now series, featuring former light heavyweight and heavyweight champion Michael Spinks. That's HBO.com/boxing. Here comes Goofy. And you can see that Goofi is surrounded by by a squadron of children who have been recruited from here in the New York area to underline his new persona and his intention to have fun with his new nickname, his new identity, and his fun relationship with kids.
We should point out that all the media are calling him Lance Goofy Whitaker, not Goofy. And these kids have been recruited for his marketing campaign for what in effect is a logo more than a name. My take on it is it's more goofball than goofy to call yourself Goofy.
But of course he is in the legal process of changing his name to Goofy with an I, and when you say legal and you look at the I, you realize of course that they're staying clear of Disney's copyright on Goofy with a Y, and he says he has every intention of pressing this point and getting all of us as media to say Goofy and Goofy only and forget that he was ever called Lance Whitaker.
Good luck to him.
His promoter, Rock Newman, went so far as to compare this to Muhammad Ali's crusade to get media to call him Muhammad Ali instead of Cassius Clay after he made that transition in the middle 1960s.
Which goes to show just how desperate they are to get an identification for this fighter. Muhammad Ali changed his life. He was known by everybody, including his friends and family. I don't suspect that when Whitaker wakes up in the morning, people are going to say, "Good morning, Goofy."
I don't know. He's 6'8" and 251 pounds. If he wants it, maybe he'll get it. And Larry, let's take a closer look at Goofy.
He's got a new manager, Rock Newman, who used to manage heavyweight champion Riddick Bowe. He's got a new trainer, Phil Borgia, who used to train featherweight champion Kevin Kelly. And a new identity, as if the identity is more important than the fact that he's 6'8" and 250 pounds and might be a good fighter.
The laughing and mugging that you've seen as he's come into the ring, that's in keeping with what he did in pre-fight publicity. And of course, it's totally opposite to the persona that Jameel Mccline is going to bring into the ring, because he looks totally serious, as he did when he came out to fight Michael Grant.
At the weigh-in, Jim, he seemed to be a little overwhelmed. Then he didn't show up at our fighter meeting. I see some anxiety on his face right now. He doesn't look calm to me. You would have thought that he had gotten all that out of himself when he fought Michael Grant.
Emmanuel, in his 2 tours of duty as a sparring partner for Lennox Lewis, did he learn any craft?
I think he learned a lot according to his own comments related to sparring with Lennox. And I would say this much, one thing I know about him, he has a lot of heart. He never quit in days when we would want to go 7 or 8 rounds or 10 rounds. He would always go to rounds when a lot of the more experienced fighters wouldn't go. So there's not a shortness of heart in this case. Maybe the experience factor. And also he's really left-handed. So watch for him to do a lot of things with his left hand. He has never developed his right hand properly, but he does a lot of things very effective with his left hand.
If you are a natural left-hander, as Mccline is, and you fight in a conventional stance, it can be a tremendous advantage, because it means that the left hook and the left jab are being delivered with your stronger hand. It's been an Oscar De La Hoya advantage throughout his career in the smaller weight classes. And here's a closer look with Larry at Mccline.
Mccline started boxing at the age of 25 after spending 5 years in prison for gun running. His amateur record, 1-0. And immediately he turned professional with that perfect record. He came up through the ranks of the promoter Cedric Kushner's heavyweight explosions to explode on Michael Grant. He's here to detonate once again.
We shall see. Let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Jacob K. Javits Center here in the Big Apple, New York City, Cedric Kushner Promotions is proud to present 12 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. On the line, the WBC Continental Americas title. Brought to you in association with your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, and the ultimate brand name of boxing, Everlast. This contest is also presented in association with Rock Newman Promotions and sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission, Chairman Raymond Kelly. The 3 judges in attendance at ringside to score this contest on the 10-point must system are Don Ackerman, Melvina Lathan, and Steve Weisfeld. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Steve Smoker. And now, in memory of the victims and heroes of 9/11, we dedicate this event to the men and women of the armed forces of the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue with silver. He stands 6'6" and weighs 261 pounds. His professional record, an excellent 26 victories, including 16 knockouts with 2 losses and 3 bouts even. From Port Jefferson, New York, presenting the challenger, Jameel Big Time Mccline. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white trunks trimmed with blue and red. He stands 6'8" and weighs 251½ pounds. He also brings an outstanding professional record to the ring, consisting of 23 victories, including 19 knockouts with only 1 loss. From Van Nuys, California, the defending WBC Continental Americas heavyweight champion, formerly known as Lance Whitaker, here is Goofi.
All right, gentlemen,
Mine is another heavyweight who changed his life with 1 punch. Does he have another big punch in him?
Lance Whitaker claims that he is going to consistently and routinely switch sides in this fight from conventional to southpaw and back. He says that his new trainer, Phil Borgia, is teaching him a balanced 2-sided attack so that there's little difference between the left and the right. Again, we'll see. Mccline is trying to deliver punches with bad intentions from the outset.
Over 500 pounds of heavyweight in there, folks.
I was just thinking about it. Looking at seeing guys this big, 6'7", 6'6", 6'8", and moving and punching pretty fast. And maybe this is the new generation of the heavyweight.
This is it. This is the future of the division. They ain't going to get smaller, guys. They're going to get bigger. You talked about how Mccline is naturally left-handed, Emmanuel. You can see his desire to use that left hand as a dominant weapon.
Yes, you're trying to favor a lot with the jab and the hook. Right hand is not that difficult. The biggest concern for me with Jameel right now, if he doesn't catch Goofi and hurt him early, how is he going to be stamina-wise after about 4 rounds? Because he's very hyped up, much as I expected.
Exactly. His body looks all tensed up, whereas Goofi has a more relaxed posture, and that normally serves you better over the long course of the fight.
You know, Jameel has a tremendous following right here. I know most of his family, and I mean, he's a great rooting section, which can work for you or against you sometimes, too.
Hard right hand lands from Mccline. Goofi shaking his head as if to say that didn't hurt, but it was a good right cross that Mccline dropped in. Now Mccline backing into the ropes on his own, Emmanuel. That's a mark of his inexperience.
His inexperience in any much amateur fights. And I'm really watching Lawrence a lot. I mean, Goofi. He has actually improved a lot. You can see the years of fighting I guess both of them started boxing when they was 25 years old, which is very unusual. But to see the experience level right now is beginning to show right now towards Goofi.
No, the last few times we saw him, Lance Whitaker was a rapidly improving fighter. I mean, the big knockout over Moscow with the right hand, big knockout of Robert Davis in the second round with the right hand. He showed much greater punching power than we had ever seen in his previous engagements.
Yes. You know, I'm watching Jameel, maybe not having an amateur background. He's fighting with his mouth very much open right now. And I don't know how that's going to affect him going down the stretch.
Good right hand from Whitaker, got through.
Yep. Well, both of these guys take a pretty decent punch, evidently. And anything can still happen. But the way it looks, if it isn't a knockout favoring Mccline in the first 2 rounds, he's going to have a real dangerous fight on his hands going down the stretch.
Unless he can loosen up and somehow relax his body, get himself into a more even groove.
He's not going to be able to relax in this fight.
Tee up for me now. Tee up for me. Watch, guy. Put that in. Come on, boys. Spit that out. Spit that out. Okay. You're working your jab. Look at me. You got to look at here, baby. You're working your jab, but I want it more consistent. Okay? I love the way you're doing with your knees, but I want that heart to slow down right now. Okay?
Back on the ropes, he's hitting your glove. But then you got to come out with something, drop down and hit him with the body and stuff. You understand? You must. And step around him. Don't move back. Step around him.
Okay.
Step around him. Keep pushing your jab. That was a good round. Good round. You understand? A nice hook to the body. Drop down. You're picking your shot right there.
Jimmy, quite the opposite of being nervous and tentative. Mccline was hyper and yet controlled in that first round.
I thought he fought a pretty good round. He did everything right. It's just his breathing pattern seems to be, he's breathing too fast. So even though he's doing everything properly, I think he's burning up too much oxygen.
Yeah. Lance Goofi Whitaker, by far the more relaxed fighter. Copy box numbers in round 1. Goofi landed 14 out of 50 punches. There's a big right hand by Mccline again.
Good right hand.
Dropped that right cross in perfectly.
This is turning out to be a very good fight, particularly considering the size of the guys and the accuracy of their punches and the intensity.
Whitaker firing right-hand shots to the body.
You know, Whitaker has absorbed 3 or 4 clean, hard punches.
Yes.
And we don't see any effect on him as yet. So
I'm very impressed with his ability to take a punch.
Well, when you're relaxed, you take a punch better than when you're all tensed up.
He's relaxed but alert, which is beautiful. Recall ever seeing a fight between guys this big, in particular to see them fighting at the pace that they're fighting and the speed and the proper delivery of punches.
Tremendous energy level. Both of these guys are big enough to stand toe-to-toe with Lennox Lewis.
Yes, they are. And I'll tell you what, and the speed that they're fighting at would make a lot of the welterweights around here even jealous.
Mccline missing with his big shots for the last 20-30 seconds. When you miss with big shots, you expend a great deal of energy. And again, he drops in the right cross. And again, Goofi is unaffected by the punch.
Never been hurt by any punches at this stage.
now Mccline was not noted as a big puncher.
No, except from the Grant.
What happened with Grant?
Yes. But he's developed a lot. I think the training camps with Lennox Lewis, I know he learned a lot from up there. Because I saw him develop myself, because we use him in 3 major camps. But I think his confidence has grown a lot, in particular the Grant fight. And he's got a good experienced guy over there, Jimmy Glenn, who spends a lot of time working with him psychologically, too.
Jimmy Glenn asked for body punches. Mccline with a combination to the body there. Whitaker also has tried to mix in the body attack.
Another good round for Mccline.
This Tuesday, December 4, Sports of the 20th Century brings you the game of their lives. An entertaining look at professional football in the 1950s and what it was like to be a player in the good old days before the game became a multi-million-dollar business.
It was just a bunch of guys who enjoyed playing the game with an opportunity to play for a living. A meager living, but a living.
The game of their lives premieres this Tuesday, December 4 at 10 p.m. right here on HBO. Christmas theme for the ring card girls tonight. Santa requires somewhat more material than that because he may not like to show his booty all around the world. As those girls just did.
Don't punch, okay. I'm here, I'm tired.
Goofi trying to land a big right-hand shot over the top. Mccline retakes the initiative, working behind his jab.
Mccline has found out that when he punches, that Whitaker just covers up.
Don't punch.
And he is in no danger, and if he moves out of there well enough, he can put his hands up as he's doing here to defend himself against Whitaker.
Push off if you can. Push off. Don't punch.
But I believe you're right, Emmanuel, that it's just going to be a question of whether Mccline can relax and not hyperventilate and maintain his conditioning through a long fight against a big man.
Look at the triple left hook by Mccline.
Yeah, but at this stage right now, both of these guys have shown that they definitely should be considered among the top heavyweights in the world. I've been very impressed with these guys.
Mccline actually delivers his punches better than Whitaker. Quicker
yes,
combinations, but Whitaker is so strong.
And as each one of these guys move on with their career, they're going to improve tremendously because they started so late in their careers that they're really having their amateur apprenticeship, so to say, right now. And they're steadily improving.
Jameel Mccline is serious. He has worked hard in the gym in the short period of time he's been able to devote himself to boxing.
Don't punch.
And it's 6 years, but that's a relatively short time.
And he's improving. The delivery of punches is much better coming from Mccline than they are really from Whitaker. I think just the experience, but both guys are showing good defense in addition to showing good chins.
Whitaker's punches are longer, and he tends to drop his hands on the follow-through. And Mccline pulls his punches back.
Yes, Mccline is punching much more accurate than Papa. A little bit of clubbing slightly in the punches coming from Whitaker, but I think eventually they still may get the job did.
You can see that both fighters can throw in combination. Whitaker there with a right to the body, then a right upstairs. Mccline has shown you triple left hooks. Left hooks behind the jab. Sophisticated stuff.
Yep. These guys are very determined.
Trading a lot of leather. Lance Goofi Whitaker in the white trunks. Jameel Mccline in the royal blue. Good heavyweight fight from the west side of Manhattan. Boxing After Dark.
Cheer for me because I want to talk to you. Cheer for me because I want to talk to you. Pay attention to me. Don't take your damn eyes off me. I'm going to tell you something. Don't get yourself frustrated. I want you to stay real relaxed. Okay. I want you to breathe for me. Okay. You're making this a little harder than we need to make this. You understand what I'm telling you? Yeah. You're making this a little harder than we need to make it. And you're on the inside, I'll
hurt you.
Right.
Dig that right hand in that body. You understand? Rip it in there, then go over the top with it. Don't be so anxious that you get your right feet in front of your left feet. Turn it over. All right, baby?
Okay. Two Goliaths trading left hooks, landing about at the same instant. No slingshots with these Goliaths.
No way.
Harold, how do you have it scored through 3?
Okay, Jim, I got it 30-27, 3-0, Jameel Mccline. Jim, I'm really impressed by those left-right-left combinations. I mean, heavyweights don't throw 3-punch combinations like that. Jameel Mccline just keeps nailing them as he walks in. So far, based on the clean, effective punching, those combination shots, Jameel Mccline, 30-27.
So Mccline tracking toward the possible upset.
Hands up, coming out.
And you heard Phil Borgia telling his fighter that he thought he was making it more difficult than it needed to be. There you see Goofi stepping into the southpaw stance for the very first time we've seen it. They promised more of that. But Mccline is unfazed as he just goes back to work with his jabs.
Whitaker responded to a clean right hand with his own left hook very well.
In the past, Lance Whitaker worked behind a jab and did so effectively. CompuBox numbers through the first 3 rounds here show Whitaker landing only 6 of 60 jabs. Mccline out jabbing the taller fighter and out hooking him too. Chopping right hand by Goofi.
Yeah. Both guys are showing that they have good chins. I'm very, very impressed with that. But I just can't believe the intensity of the way that these guys are going at each other.
Keep them up, Jamal. Quick, don't punch, don't punch, don't punch. Step out, step out.
Hands by Mccline.
Whitaker is really landing some good hard shots at close quarters.
It's amazing to watch a 6'8" guy work inside the way Whitaker can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whitaker unveiling the uppercut. Mccline gets back out at range and goes back to work with that range-finding jab.
Don't punch, don't punch. Step back, guys, go for it. Step back.
And there's a swelling above the right eye of Lance Goofi Whitaker.
Yeah, that's from those left hooks of Mccline.
Reach me right now. He's getting tired like a motherfucker. I don't want you to get excited when you're in them exchanges. Okay. You know how you do your breathing and we're nice and relaxed? Yeah. That's how I want you to stay. Okay. Don't come up to his head. Come up to his shoulder.
Okay. Oh, he's clean already. He's clean. All right, baby. Give him a little water. How you feel? How you feel, champ? Drink it, Bobby. Drink it. How you feel, baby?
That was Whitaker's best round. A couple of left hooks in here. Later in the round, Mccline coming back with his own heavy stuff. Big guys, but throwing big stuff at each other. But Mccline showing some signs of fatigue in that round.
But both guys are so determined that once one guy gets an advantage, the other one retaliates right away. I mean, doesn't wait a few seconds. Both are determined to try to take control and keep control.
We are at the Javits Center in Manhattan, round 5 of this Boxing After Dark attraction between two giant heavyweights. In the white trunks, Lance Whitaker, whom you've seen on HBO before and now wants to be known as Goofi, in the legal process of changing his name to Goofi and only Goofi. If you hear us fluctuating back and forth between Whitaker and Goofi and Lance, we're having a small identity crisis here as we try to follow this situation. And the opponent in the blue trunks is Jameel Mccline, the lesser known of the two fighters,
who made a splash this past summer with his first-round knockout of Michael Grant, and is trying to take another step up the ladder tonight and giving a very good account of himself in the first 5 rounds against the favored Goofi Whitaker.
Blood coming from the mouth of Mccline.
We mentioned at the end of the last round there's a swelling above the right eye of Whitaker coming from those Mccline left hooks. There was also a tiny nick above his left eye.
Punch down if you can. Double up, buddy. Double up, buddy. Get tape.
Mccline is winging his punches now more than shooting them.
But he's so unpredictable. He'll look like he's tired. His mouth is gapped open, and you get close and he'll explode all over again. So you can never relax with him, even though he appears to be fatigued.
If Mccline is tiring, he gets a little bit of a break here as Goofi has to have his right glove retaped.
Do nice, do nice. It's all right, boy. It's all right. You're all right. Come on. All right. Push off. Let him out, Jameel. Let him out.
Mccline has had his mouth open since the middle of round 1.
Yep, but he comes back with punches just when you least expect it.
Yep.
Good shot.
Hard right hand by Mccline. Goofi lashing back with the left hook.
But Whitaker comes right back. He would never let him get control and maintain it more than a couple of seconds.
Step.
To the body, well thrown by Mccline, battering Goofi.
Break, no punch, clean, step.
I think Phil Borgia wanted more energy out of Goofi Whitaker than he got in that round, and Jameel Mccline does not yet show signs of slowing down.
Jameel Mccline is fighting a great fight, especially when you consider the amount of experience that he's had.
Now give him some water to drink. Give me a rinse here. Rinse out, hold, rinse, and spit down.
Give me the bumpers, you mean?
All right, now listen. Take a deep breath.
Okay. Look at me. It's fine. You're making shit harder. You understand me? I know where you're at. I know that mode you're in. But I need a little more to turn over sneaky shit. The jiggy we do. You know the jiggy moves we do? Yeah. You're always supposed to have fun here, right? Fun. That ain't fun.
A flurry late in that round probably turned it in the favor of Mccline. There is still a long way to go in this fight.
As you looked at the fight coming in, the result you might have been least likely to forecast would have been Mccline winning by decision. But through the first 5 rounds, he seems to have been able to take a commanding lead on the scorecards against Lance Goofi Whitaker. Steve Smoker telling Mccline to keep his punches up. One of those body shots landed low, but he got full credit for all of them.
Step back. All right, go.
And Whitaker seems to be losing his technique.
Whitaker's just looking just about as fatigued himself now. And he's punching with a lot more arm punching than Mccline, who doesn't have the experience. But when Mccline does explode, he explodes with much more accurate and precision punches.
Goofi is throwing looser, longer armed shots. The kinds of punches that don't produce the same effect as the tighter, more conventionally thrown punches that Mccline is delivering.
No, Mccline is punching much more impressive, and he's punching in such a manner that it creates excitement even with the officials.
Pity pack stuff from Goofi. Not the kind of power he had in the first couple of rounds. He threw 60 punches in the 4th round by CompuBox numbers, and then fell off to 40 in the 5th round.
This fight right now, Mccline has got to fight one, and if he doesn't get totally exhausted and run out of gas, I think he's going to take it all the way. Probably go to a decision to get changed.
Mccline with some good footwork to set up the body attack there, and he was out before Goofi could retaliate.
That's right.
Both of Lance Whitaker's last 2 fights ended with giant right-hand shots from Whitaker. But when he's thrown the right hand tonight, it has not produced anywhere near the same effect. And recently, they've been chopping, arm extended, low-impact shots.
You know, knocking out Moscow was one thing, because I don't know whether it was really punching power, whether the case of Moscow maybe just being punched out and can't take a punch that much anymore. And it may have given him a false sense of confidence in his punching power.
And the previous guy, Robert Davis, had never been in with anybody this good.
That's correct. So, and you know, maybe he spent too much time worrying and arguing about the name change instead of concentrating more on his opponent.
Well, as Larry pointed out, new trainer, new promoter, new name, supposedly a new approach. But you still got to go out and fight the fight.
Don't touch those. Bow.
Okay. But listen, I'm going to tell you straight. I'm collaring for 8, 9, 10s, right? And what are you doing? You coming back with a lazy freaking jab. Spit that out. Do not keep that.
Round 7.
Again, another rinse. Spit it out. I'm asking you to give me the easiest stuff that we've done, okay? Nothing fancy. Just like we did with Corey and Sarif and these guys. He's not even in your class. I'm going to tell you straight.
7. You can bang him to the body and pull out. Slap him in the shot. Hey, don't go back.
7 coming. 7 coming.
Yeah. Don't pull back, all right? Don't pull back with him. Pop the jib. Use the jib. Stick. And then go with the right hand. Okay? Come on. Bucket.
Whitaker must have had some hell of a sparring partners if they're all better than Mccline, as Phil Borges just told him. Yeah, but
well, he had Corey Sanders. I would make Mccline the favorite over Corey Sanders off what I've seen. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim. Even the 4th round I gave to Mccline. 6-0, 60-54. Jameel Mccline. Jim, I got to tell you something. This guy, Jameel Mccline, he lets Lance Whitaker work, and then he nails him with solid shots. Real good combinations. I mean, combinations you can feel, landing in the scoring area, doing a lot of damage. Lance Whitaker, to me, when he punches, you just slap at him. And you know, I don't see any real damage. I don't see any real damage on Mccline's face anywhere. So I got it a shutout, 6-0, Mccline.
I have it 5 rounds to 1.
And you saw Whitaker land the big right-hand shot there while Harold was summing up the scorecard. Best punch Whitaker's landed in a couple of rounds. Somewhere tonight, there's a trainer named Joe Goosen watching. He's the guy who guided Lance Whitaker into the middle ranks of the top 10 of the heavyweight division, and under whom Whitaker seemed to be improving constantly and consistently. How difficult is it to change trainers and stay on the same page, Emmanuel?
Well, it depends on the trainer. Some trainers come in and try to change it completely, which I think is a big mistake. He's got to try to train the fighter within the style that he's been used to by maybe making slight, subtle changes. I don't know if that's the case. It seems to be, based on what I've watched at our fighters meeting and interviewing Whitaker, that he's trying to make too many changes and things about everything. The name change, trying to become a big media type guy.
Personality attraction.
Yes, and I think it's too many changes he's making, but he's fighting a good fight nevertheless. So I can't say it's maybe just the trainer's change that messed him up. But I think Mccline is so focused and so determined in this fight. Mccline is tired himself, but he seems to dig down and talk to himself and come right back just at the time when you least expect, which is showing tremendous inner strength.
Did he give Lennox Lewis a hard time at all when he was sparring with him?
No, he never gave Lennox no really hard time. But the thing about it, we saw him steadily improve it a lot as each training camp. But the one thing we noticed, he never was knocked down. He never was really hurt with Lennox, which shows he has a good chin. And he would be tired and would come back and do much like what he's doing now. You think he can't go another round or two? And he said, you want to go a couple of more Lennox? He said, I need 3 more. He said, let's go. And he would come right back and go those 3 rounds.
Mccline has sparred with several top guys. He said not all of them will offer you helpful hints, but Lennox will, and he appreciated that. Big right hand over the top by Goofi, switches into the southpaw stance and lands a left uppercut. So for that moment at least, the southpaw stance seemed to help Lance Goofi Whitaker. December 11, catch the next edition of Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Among the stories, we'll show you what has happened in the lives of Bobby Chacon and Danny Little Red Lopez since their memorable featherweight fight 27 years ago. Also, the story of former NBA guard Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, a devout Muslim who believes an incident from his past is keeping him out of the NBA. Real Sports, nothing is out of bounds.
Use your jab. Lower your body. Don't be up high. Get under his punches with your hand and rip to the body. You understand? We work so hard in the gym, baby, and this is what it's for.
Do it on hands. What are we doing, heavy bag? What are we doing in the uppercut bag? Well, then give me what I want. You understand me?
We got both trainers, Emmanuel, talking about what they did in the gym. Is this a good thing?
Well, yeah, I think to some degree you can, but it's still, the fight is a different thing than the gym. There's something I very seldom even bring up when I'm talking to a fighter.
Yeah, that's why I asked the question. I don't
different
recall you
sparring partners, different situations. You know, but I think what I can see right now is just the inner strength of both guys, but particularly Mccline is a big factor because he doesn't have the experience. And I'm really beginning to feel more and more as the fight goes on that whether he wins or lose, Whitaker's involvement, particularly with this name thing, has had effect on his boxing thing.
Whitaker winging big shots, landing more of them than perhaps Mccline's corner would want him to. You may have noticed that Harold Letterman finally got off the schneid and gave a round to Lance Goofi Whitaker. Jabs through 7 rounds. Mccline out jabbing the taller fighter. 27 out of 133 against 8 out of 101.
I'm here. Stop.
Lance Goofi Whitaker's gone 3 rounds without landing a jab coming into this one, according to CompuBox. In case you missed it, in our first fight of the evening, unbeaten Puerto Rican heavyweight Frez Oquendo, now fighting out of Puerto Rico, he spent most of his life in Chicago, remained unbeaten with a 3rd round TKO over David Izon. Izon appears to have been finished. Career-wise, not just tonight.
Early in the fight, these two 16-wheelers looked like they were going downhill. They're starting to go uphill now. The pace is slowed considerably.
Pace is slowed down, and seemingly Mccline has got like a second wind. He's got a comfort level, even though he's a little fatigued. He seems to have adjusted to the mode that he's fighting in now, the way his body is. And not having many fights as an amateur fighter or professional, particularly these 10 and 12 round fights, it's amazing.
I'm gonna be straight with you. I never have BS'd you, right? I never have BS'd you, right?
Round 9.
When you pick this up, give me a rinse. Give me a rinse. Spit it. When you pick this up, you coming back with the big headshots. You understand me? Where should we be going, bro? Cross here, okay? I'm screaming with no voice for the 8 and slow that hard down. I'm screaming for the 8, 9, 10s. Everything comes off that. But no, you want to follow this guy? Don't follow this guy. Cut his ass off and work on him.
What to do? You're well taught what to do. Like not to stand up there.
Stick to the game plan.
Stick to your game. I got it. Stick to your game plan. Stick your jab. Stick here. Stick this jab in there.
Okay.
Make it easy. Right hand up. All right?
Make it easy than this.
When you have these trainers using these codes and numbers, those are things that they have picked up from the old Mike Tyson system that Custer Mata they used to have, and a lot of other trainers that they try to use them. And those numbers reflect certain combinations or certain punches that they are trying to get the fighter to deliver.
Why not just ask the fighter to throw a jab, a right cross, and a left hook?
Yep. I guess
Doesn't that work?
I guess it's supposed to be a big secret. But whatever it is, Whitaker better start throwing something. I don't care if it's 2-2-2 or 8-8-8. Because at this stage right now, Mccline is outworking him. And he's punching with enough explosiveness and intensity that is creating excitement with the judges.
Now in the last couple of rounds, in the last couple of rounds, we've seen a lot more of Lance Whitaker switching from side to side, going southpaw, then conventional and back. I'm not really sure what it's done for him. Bill Borja obviously wanted Whitaker to go to the body more.
I think it's just the intensity and the fierce determination of Mccline is taking over and is being a big factor in the fight as it goes down the stretch.
There's a certain athletic movement to Mccline, the way he moves his feet, the quickness of his hands. You see it more clearly against a big, strong, but in terms of how he moves his body, somewhat lumbering Whitaker.
Yeah, Whitaker's definitely a lumbering type fighter. He's fighting like a big man, but he's got a little more speed than most guys. Whitaker is fighting different than Mccline. Mccline moves on the balls of his feet a little bit, which is unusual for to be a guy that big. And then he'll explode because he can get off much faster from the ball of the feet as compared to coming in flat-footed on the heels. And that little simple movement in the foot makes him get off much more explosively.
Mccline's punch output by CompuBox estimate was his lowest of the fight in round 8. Now for the second time, Mccline will get a little extra chance to rest in a neutral corner as Goofi, Lance Whitaker, wants to be called Goofi, has his right glove taped again.
Might as well get that. Thanks, Rob. Might as well get it done. Here's a present.
No rush. No rush.
Some of the boxing commissioners in some states require you to use the tape that they give you to cover the gloves when you finish up the final round, and that's to prevent what's happening here happening. I know in New Jersey the commissioner has it insist on using duct tape, the regular gray duct tape, because it grips good and it's waterproof.
Well, and it appeared for a moment there that Smoker was taking Goofi over to get some commissioned duct tape, but the duct tape was green. I guess they didn't want to use it.
No, in my case, I had a special waterproof tape that I used myself for the final wrap on the gloves.
The Mccline contingent in the crowd thought that Goofi was hurt by the right hand. I think he was just off balance. Neither fighter has ever scored a knockout past the 7th round.
gotta finish this, baby.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, you didn't hit him.
You don't look like
Look, baby. Use that jab.
We can't lose this fight, son. Get me? Oh, you got me. Give me the water. Give me some water here.
Give me some tea. Do this.
Give me the money.
Let your hands go like you did with Corey. Okay. I haven't seen that crispness, bro. Okay. We didn't leave it anywhere. We brought it right in here. Keep this now. Keep this. Keep this. Keep that. Don't spit it. We didn't leave shit anywhere, bro. We brought this in this ring, and I want to take him with us. Do you understand me?
Let's go. Come on, man.
Gerald Mccline looked across at Emmanuel Stewart and said, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, and he is doing it too.
Maybe you're inspiring him, Emmanuel.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have so much respect for him, and I'm very proud of him too, because in the camp up there, he didn't hardly have any experience, and a lot of the times he didn't even have a trainer most of it, and he was just by himself, wrapping his own hands very quietly, and trying to sit and watch. When I would be working with Lennox on techniques some days, he would just come over and ask, could he sit and watch it? And I'm just so proud of what he's accomplished.
A reference to Jameel Mccline's time spent as a sparring partner for Lennox Lewis prior to 2 separate fights in Lewis's career. Mccline rallying, and that punch knocked Goofi silly. Potential knockout coming from Mccline as he tries to finish. Crowd on its feet. Big rally to start round 10 by Mccline. I'm not sure Goofi Whitaker saw it coming.
Is he going to get knocked Goofi here?
He's already been knocked Goofi once. Whitaker had his hands down as Mccline stepped in and fired another left hook.
Each time that the referee breaks him, Whitaker gives indication like he really wants to go to his corner.
Whitaker still seems unsteady on his feet.
He's shaky, he's blinking his eyes, he's trying to buy time, and doing a good job at buying time.
Mccline is a little winded, so he's trying to take his time and relax, which I think is good, particularly being that he's not that experienced. So the damage he's did, I think, is going to be there for the rest of the night. So it's no use him trying to go all out right now, because otherwise he may run out of gas.
It was a spirited rally to start the 10th. And Whitaker is still wobbling as Mccline tries to line up and sight him again.
And that's what Mccline needs to do, and that's what Jimmy Green is telling him to use his left hand, because he has a great left hand. And if he starts using his jab and stepping in and pushing the jab hard instead of flicking it, it will be a big factor going down the stretch of these next 2 rounds.
Mccline is so authoritative with the jab and the left hook. That's really been the big difference in the fight.
He's a natural left-hander.
As you told us before the fight, and that's been a critical factor.
He's pretty good with the right hand, though, too.
Oh, I'll tell you. He's coming on.
Yeah.
Now Whitaker has his feet back under him. But Mccline leaning on him and limiting the damage as the clock counts down in what has been a big 10th round for the young man from Port Jefferson, New York.
Yeah, he spent himself a lot trying to finish off Whitaker in the first part, and that's why he had to slow down.
Deep breath. We got 2 fucking rounds, bro. Get that ice on his neck. Get that ice on his neck. Watch for a second.
We do the 30-second rule.
Close your eyes.
I'm bringing the doc in. It won't take any of your time.
Okay, fine.
All right, let him look at it.
You good? Huh? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Go ahead.
Breathe for me. This ain't losing none of my time, right? Yo, Steve, I don't lose none of my time here, right?
Let's take a look. He may be a southpaw, but that left hand has set up a whole bunch of right hands for him, Emmanuel.
Yes, he's been very effective with the right hand tonight. I've been surprised.
That was the punch that knocked Whitaker Goofi. It landed on the temple right there. there's a new rule in New York State. Harold, you want to tell us about the new rule that allows the referee to extend the period between rounds 30 seconds?
Okay, Jim, it's not 30 seconds. If the doctor comes in, they call timeout. And then once the doctor leaves, the corner gets a full minute to work on their fighter. You know, the full minute that they're entitled to. So they call timeout as soon as the doctor comes in, give the corner a full minute to work on the fighter.
So that means that Whitaker got an extra period of time between rounds to recover from the beating he took in round 10. Harold, how do you have it through 10 rounds?
Okay, Jim. I got it 8 rounds to 2. 98-91 Jameel Mccline with a big 10-8 round in the 10th. I mean, you certainly had to give him an extra point because Whitaker looked like he wanted to quit. Badly hurt. I thought that Lance Whitaker did enough in rounds 7 and 8 when Jameel Mccline looked like a tired fighter. But other than that, it seems to be all Jameel Mccline with, like you say, left hooks, combinations, and a real good straight right hand.
On both of our cards, Whitaker is going to have to do something very dramatic to win this fight.
And I have not heard Phil Borgia tell Goofi that he needs a knockout to win, but you suspect that Whitaker gets the point based on the dissatisfaction that Borgia has shown from round to round. More glove taping. Well, the danger of continuing to attack is that you might leave yourself open for the big counter.
That's
Should McCline
correct.
be sitting on this lead, Emmanuel?
I think that he's fighting very. If you notice, even though he's not punching as much, he seems to be kind of resting himself. Maybe he's exhausted, but he's moving forward as he's trying to smother Whitaker. He's not all the time backing up in the clinches. He moves forward, which neutralizes the punching power of Whitaker. But I think he's saving it all for the next round when I can get there. He don't seem to be that hurt, but he seems to be just trying to rest a lot.
Will you tell me what Whitaker is accomplishing by switching southpaw? It looks awkward. I don't get the point, man.
Absolutely nothing. It's, I think, another one of those tactics that they spend so much time on, you know, maybe trying to be like a big Kevin Kelly instead of just staying in one position. I think he's been devoted too much of his time to doing things that were just a total
They're
waste.
trying to make him cute, right? They're trying to make a 6'8" 250-pound guy goofy and cute.
And in the meantime, Mccline has been studying on how to beat him in the ring. And that's all.
And Mccline has gone in and fought a big man's fight and fought it well. And that's why he has the edge with a little over 3 minutes to go. Goofi landed one big shot, but that's all in that last rally. Very shortly, he'll have only 1 round left.
You're down to this, bro. Huh? You're down to this. Get your hands off the rope. Get ice now. Rinse, rinse, rinse. Rinse, rinse, rinse. We're down to this, bro. I don't bullshit. We're down to this last round. If we don't knock this sucker out, I don't see it going our way. I can't bullshit you. Sit back. I'm sorry.
How you feel, buddy?
We did.
You feel like? Give me them over, give me them. Rinse it off. We feel like we're the champs, son. So you got to go out here and win this round for me. Not being fair.
We got 1 round to make this happen. Keep this. Do you understand me? We got 1 round. Forget that. We got 1 round to make this happen. Dude, look at me. Put your head.
If there's a good sign for Goofi at all, it may be that McCline's tank is running low. He only threw 22 punches in the 11th round. On On the other hand, how much does Goofi have left? Harold, how do you have it scored coming to the last round?
Okay, Jim. 8 rounds to 3. 107-101. Jameel Mccline. Jim, I got to tell you something. When they get in these clinches, watch what happens. Jameel Mccline, being the heavier guy, rides Goofi across the ring. He's laying on him, and it's taking a lot out of Lance Whitaker. I mean, he knows how to work in the clinches. He really does. I mean, I think that Lance Whitaker's doing nothing in the clinches. Mccline constantly rides him across the ring.
And Bill Borza made it clear to Lance Goofi Whitaker between rounds that he thinks he needs a knockout for him to win. So it's desperation time for Goofi, and a possible big win on the horizon for a rising heavyweight named Jameel Mccline.
One shot, Lance. Break, don't punch. Don't punch. Don't punch. Step, step.
See what Mccline is doing. He's staying in close and smothering Whitaker, knowing that he's got the fight won. He's not giving Whitaker hardly any room to land effective big punches. So he's doing everything in close quarters right now. Even though Whitaker's throwing a lot of punches, Mccline is still trying to smother him. He's never backing back and giving him room to land a big, long, clean punch.
Now Smoker breaks him up.
There he goes again.
And Whitaker didn't get anything off before Mccline was able to engage him.
Yep. And once again, he's smothering, using his left shoulder to neutralize the punching power of Whitaker right now.
Don't punch, don't punch, don't punch. Let him out, big fellas. Let him out, let him out, let him out.
One last big left hook. And once again, he shuts off Goofi's range.
Yep, he's walking him down, smothering him, not giving him too much punching room.
And now, Goofi looks discouraged. Became the main event unexpectedly and lived up to the role with a rousing heavyweight fight.
We got this, baby. We got this. We worked for it. You earned it. Hey, baby.
McCline's trainer, Jimmy Glenn, has his own bar about 20 blocks away from here.
Yeah, and it would be
Good
packed tonight.
of a spot tonight, huh?
I think I may have to stop by myself.
I think
to
that may be the place. I'll bet you there'll be free beer at Jimmy Glenn's bar tonight.
Yes, it'll be a wonderful place tonight.
So is this the short and happy life of Goofi Whitaker?
Yes, and
maybe the last time, huh? It could be the arrival of a new heavyweight star because Jameel Mccline is fun to watch.
Big time.
Big time.
Big time Mccline.
Yep.
Later on. Come on. Give it this.
5 years in prison for gun running. Became a boxer when he came out, more or less at the suggestion of other people. He didn't really have any particular plan.
No.
Says this is the only job he's ever had. You talk about taking it seriously. In addition to the tutelage of head trainer Jimmy Glenn, Mccline now has a swimming coach, a yoga guru, a strength and conditioning coach, a running coach, a gyrotonics trainer. Gyrotonics is a new wave conditioning training routine involving weights, stretching, and yoga moves. He says he's spending $60,000 to $70,000 a year to support all these people, but it's not about now. It's about getting better over the long haul.
I think the biggest thing that he has going for him, though, is his inner strength. He has tremendous determination inside.
He wants
to be able to he wants something, and that's what I think. Forget all of the other things, and that's what's really made him get to be where he is. And Lennox, who I was with last night, and he was very, very disgusted because, you know, he was upset because of Mike Tyson's situation. He says we all cleared the fight. HBO, Showtime, everybody's spirited away. There's no promoters, no nothing. And then Mike all of a sudden says, I need another tune-up. He said, what's wrong with Mike? Maybe he's not ready. But anyway, he was very happy with Mccline, and he predicted Mccline would win.
Well, he got what he wanted, I think, but let's find out from Michael Buffer. Let's go up to Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the line tonight was the WBC Continental America's Heavyweight title. We go to the Budweiser scorecards. Melvina Lathan scores the bout, 116 to 112. Don Ackerman has it, 114 to 113. Steve Weisfeld scores it, 115 to 112, all for the winner by unanimous decision, and new champion Jameel, big time Mccline.
Well, it was closer than you might have expected, at least on one of the three scorecards, but Mccline gets the unanimous decision and celebrates big time. Well, you talk about intense. Final CompuBox numbers, Mccline landing 55 more punches, landing at a considerably higher connect percentage. Whitaker throwing more punches, particularly in the late rounds when he was trying to reel Mccline in and knew that he was fighting from behind. And in the first round, Mccline established the jab and out-jabbed Whitaker all the way. Lance Whitaker, who in the past has been effective working behind the jab, landed only 10 out of 149 against big Jameel Mccline, and Mccline was sticking his jab in there 43 times over the course of the bout and throwing more than did Whitaker. Let's go to Larry Merchant with the winner.
All right, thank you very much, Jim. Congratulations, Jameel. Did you feel that too much of this fight was about Whitaker and Goofi and all that stuff beforehand?
All of it was about Goofi, and you know, the man wants to be called Goofy, so we're gonna call him Goofy.
Did you find that in itself weird?
No, I found it a little different, but I didn't, you know, that's what he wanted to call. I respect him, so that's what I called him, seriously. But yeah, it was the same thing as the last show, you know. And this guy, you know, they made a big deal about this guy. Michael Graham's a much better fighter than this guy. Much better. And they made a big deal about Goofy this and Goofy that. He's on a whirlwind, media whirlwind tour while I was getting rest and eating right.
Were you a little bit uptight or anxious about this whole thing because of the way the pre-fight hype seemed to be leaning and discounting you, or did you feel this is good because I know what's going to happen in the fight?
Exactly, Merchant. You said it. I couldn't said it better. You know, I was in the gym. I've been training for 10 weeks. Been doing my job. Haven't seen my daughter. Haven't been home. You know, and now, you know, it's over. And
it seemed early in the fight when you were taking it to him, and it was a very fast pace, that you might wind down. Were you so souped up that that was a danger, or did the punches you delivered wind him down with you?
Well, the punches that I was delivering definitely winded him down, and that was the game plan. Show him some speed, show him some movement. You know, I always said I do well against big men. I'm just as big as them. As a matter of fact, I'm bigger than them. I'm heavier than them. I'm stronger than them, and I'm faster than them, more athleticism than them. So I always do well against big guys.
Let's take a look at the punch that staggered him, and then you tried to finish him. Did you think you had it there?
Well, I thought I had him, but, you know, I was a little out of position, a little rushed, didn't know which way to go there. You know, you could see me coming in a little sloppy. And then once I got him up against the ropes, I wasn't as schooled as I should have been. But, you know, this is a learning process, you know. I don't want to make any excuses. You know, I'm amongst the best in the world, but I'm still learning.
You spent 2 years as a sparring partner for Lennox Lewis. Did that accelerate your development? Because for someone starting at 25, having one amateur fight, this is unusual.
Well, you know, Lennox Lewis is awesome. You know, I had a great time working with him. He treated me well. He showed me a lot of things that a lot of guys aren't able to show me. And, you know, I take that into all the training. You know, I've seen.
What do you see next?
the best in the world.
Thank you very much,
The best in the world.
Jameel Mccline. All right, just a final word. We're in a vast convention center here. It goes on for acres and miles and days, it seems, and this is just one corner of it. And as I was wandering around, I noticed other convention sites where they were selling crafts and sound equipment, and they also sell boats here and one thing or another. And tonight we had a kind of a heavyweight convention, and what we found is that we've two pretty good products that we're going to see more of in Oquendo and Mccline, and that you can't sell a fighter by calling him Goofi. You sell him in the ring. Jim?
Or he sells himself. Well, Emmanuel Stewart, let's talk briefly about the heavyweight hierarchy now. Lennox Lewis is at the top. He's getting ready to fight Mike Tyson. Those in the minds of most people, probably the top two. Vladimir Klitschko, who might have been here tonight, except that he hurt his shoulder. Unbeaten Kirk Johnson out of Canada. Chris Bird, kind of a novelty act with his unusual style. Those are probably the top five. Where does Jameel Mccline rank off what you saw tonight?
But what I saw tonight, Jim, Jameel Mccline ranks right up at the tops. I mean, he's a threat to even Lennox.
So he can be number 6 or better.
Very good. Not only did he deliver punches good, but the determination, and I usually judge athletes, particularly boxers, because of the one-on-one sport on the inside. And he is tough on the inside, in addition to having developed the skills. And I think he's a big threat to anybody right now.
Well, in fact, if you could get him into the ring with Vladimir Klitschko before Klitschko gets his title shot, that would be a tremendous fight, wouldn't it?
He's a big fight for anybody right now. I mean, it's hard to fight a guy that just had fights with so much determination and intensity. And he's improved a lot. I was very proud of him tonight.
Very impressive. And Lennox, if you're out there, he wants you. Who knows? Maybe someday. All right. Well, thanks very much, Emmanuel. And we'll have a final word on what took place here at the Javits Center in just a moment. Right now, let's look ahead to some upcoming programs on HBO.